back of a capitalist system. A system that people, even thoughtful, sensitive people my age and many years younger, seem to think of and see as real life, because they haven't been able to step back and see capitalism as one system of organising that is so destructive and causing so much devastation. They see it as real life because we seem to have lost the language for describing capitalism as a system, as an ideological system, and being able to differentiate it from any other choice that we could make. I don't know if I'll have the time to talk about these ideas with you today, but I was going to talk about our concept of what a dystopia is, capitalism as it is, as it really exists, as Chomsky describes it, really existing capitalism, and then the changes that we can bring about to maybe bring in more positive things, although they're perhaps quite scary and will take an awful lot of our energy and a lot of our serious attention. But it was Rosa Luxemburg who actually foresaw, more than Karl Marx, that capitalism was insatiable and that it would push out and it would try and exploit every possible opportunity to grow, to increase profits, to increase wealth, and that it would be accompanied by equal measures militarisation. She foresaw that, sitting on her own in her little room, working away with her brilliant mind, I will say. And she saw that many years ago. We don't have that. We don't have that concept. We don't talk about socialism. We don't talk about capitalism. We don't talk about them as systems. We don't talk about systems that could be changed. We don't talk about being trapped currently in a particular type of system and a system that can be changed. And we do need to change it. But dystopia, a society characterised by human misery, environmental devastation, yes, squalor, yes, oppression, yes, people living in a state of terror, or at least governments making us feel like we're living in a state of terror here, even if we're not directly living in a state of terror, as Mark said, in Iraq or in Afghanistan or in Syria or in Libya or where the state is powerful. Paul Mason talking about dystopia, and he's got some ideas about how change, how scientific and technological change may assist us with bringing a social and cultural shift, which I might talk about later on. But the democracy of riot squads, corrupt politicians, magnet-controlled newspapers, a surveillance state now looks as phony and fragile as East Germany did 30 years ago. And I think he's got a really good point there. Talking about capitalism, can civilization survive capitalism, says Chomsky. It's radically incompatible with any real democracy. And if we think about the ownership of the organs of propaganda, whose interests are the interests of capital, we have got this most enormous fight on our hands. And I find even, close friends have had arguments about, and it's been exposed now maybe more about The Guardian and where its bias is because of the whole Corbyn phenomena. But those who have seen that The Guardian may put in some decent sort of article now and again about climate change or about us losing some of our rights, overall, once you look at the editorial bias, if you read the paper week after week after week, if it's not helping to tell the true story, that things are getting worse, things are becoming more urgent, if they're rounding these stories up every week in that we can buy a slightly better car or have a decent holiday, and that someone's looking at this, someone's looked at that, so you don't have to worry, you can carry on buying the paper, there's nothing you need to do here. They're not on our side. and the papers are not on our side, and they're not making money. They make their money through advertising it, and advertisers will not buy spaces next to stories about war, about horror, about poverty. We have, 1 in 7 people on the whole planet living in slums. We have 6 million refugees. We have numbered thousands in this country, the 5th richest economy in the world, older people who will die from cold-related diseases. Probably someone in here could create some software. We could probably identify exactly who those people are. And yet, we allow this to happen here. Capitalism and money and banks. Money is debt. David Graeber. Money is created by debt. Money is printed to save the banks. It is not printed to save the people and planet. I'll just finish up then. In a capitalist economy, we sell our labour for wages, and with weaker trade unions, the value of our labour has gone down. The cost of living is rising. We need to think in advance about delinking wages from work, because things are changing. And for an example, in America, by 2050, it's anticipated 47% of current jobs won't need to exist. So let's think of a future where we don't have to work. When I was a teenager, they used to say this was an establishment view. In the future, you won't have to work very much. Now it's not, because capitalists know they won't be able to control the amount of wealth they keep, if that has to maybe be shared out with universal basic income or citizens' income. But also, they're bloody scared that if masses of us have got masses of time to work and talk together, we might decide we don't want the decision-making and the wealth and the power to be in so few hands.